very excited to be meeting with all of you here today. There will likely be, hopefully, some more people joining us shortly. But to get things started, I'm going to send things over to Larry O'Farrell, who is the chair of the board of the network, to get things started.
Okay, and thank you very much, Jennifer. I want to thank everybody for participating and joining us here today. That's wonderful. And I definitely want to thank Canada Council for the Arts and the Azrieli Foundation, because without their help, we wouldn't be able to do any of this work. So thanks very much to both of those organizations, fundings. Just a little bit of intro as to what's going on and what we're hoping to achieve. We just basically want to do everything we can to help the sector survive the pandemic and somehow to come out the other side empowered to play a leading role in the cultural recovery of our communities. That's a big task, but we hope to partner with other organizations to help with this, to work on this. But in the early months of the pandemic, we had two actually of these series of roundtable discussions. And at that time, we learned about how, first of all, we learned about all the problems everyone was facing, and there was a lot of anxiety, and it was a pretty bad situation. The second one we did later in the spring, people were beginning to adjust to the realities, and so this is our first one in the new. Here we are, 8 months later, and we've discovered that yes, everyone. First of all, we did see that everyone was really committed to and finding ways to continue their work somehow. So, but here we are 8 months in, and where are we now? And what do we need to do to help the sector? People are still not sure what the future holds. I don't know about you, but I have no Christmas plans. I don't know what's going to happen. My family doesn't know, and we're all in different cities, and it's horrible. And you're all, I'm sure, in very similar situations. But we're talking to you now, and you all have a lot more experience at dealing with the situation that we're in. And so today we're inviting you to share with us and very much share with each other what you've been doing and how you see the situation now. And we will make a report that we will, this is being recorded. I see it's being recorded, yeah. And we will have a member of our research team go through this, make notes, and produce a report on what you're saying. So what you say is not lost. It's going to be part of first of all, it gets reported and posted. And secondly, we will certainly use it to inform the work that we do in the future. Yeah, we want to be able to help ourselves, help one another to work through the issues and in spite of all the uncertainties we face. So that's where we are. That's sort of why we're holding this particular series. And I want to welcome you all and thank you very much for participating. That's it.
Great,
I don't ask the first set of questions. Jennifer, I think I go to you.
Yeah. Yes, thanks, Larry. So just a couple of housekeeping items to get things started, and I'm sure most of you are very familiar with Zoom by this point. But just to let you know, you can pull at the bottom of your screen, there's the participants button, which will show you everyone here who's in the room. There's also a chat button that you can type a message to everyone, or you can type a message to specific people. If you wanted to follow up as people are talking. Also, as we go through, will be you can either raise your hand like this, or there's a raise hand button on the participants tab where you can virtually raise your hand. As Larry said, we are recording and we will be posting this on our website afterwards for those who were unable to attend, and if you want to kind of revisit everything that was said. And we'll be following up with you again tomorrow with just a follow-up email and survey on your thoughts of what happened today. And I think,
Jennifer,
yes.
Jennifer, I forgot to introduce Caitlin. Wave Caitlin. This is Caitlin is our database manager and researcher. She's the one who does so much of this technological work. And Douglas Risk Rave Douglas, who is a board member of ours, who has spent many long years in Manitoba and found his way out to British Columbia. I don't know how that happened, but there he is. So he's joining us as a board member. So thank you for joining us. All right, sorry to interrupt, Jennifer. I just forgot to introduce our
Yeah,
folks.
no problem, no problem. And if you wanted to just listen in on the conversation, you're free to just turn off your video and just listen in if you didn't want to actually take part. So at this point, we're going to just kind of go around and do introductions. So if you can just say your name, say the work that you do, or if you work with an organization or a school, and a little bit about your current situation and how you're engaging with your students or your audiences online, and kind of some of the measures that you have taken so far. So we will start with, is it Colleen? So you can unmute yourself, or I can unmute you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Colleen Roller, and I live in Calgary, and I run a small piano studio. Most of my students are on Zoom, but I do more that come in person. With the new restrictions that came out last night, I emailed the families to see if this is a time to now go to Zoom. I've heard back from 2 of them. One is willing to just go on Zoom, and the other one just says it's just so hard and life is so abnormal. Could we please continue? We do wear masks. I sanitize all the high touch areas in my studio. We sanitize our hands. I'm willing to just continue that um, for now. Of course, we have to kind of go week by week. I also have been conducting my recitals on YouTube. I just create a playlist with recordings, and this Sunday is my first one for this new year.
Great, thank you, Colleen.
Did I cover everything?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and we'll circle back, I'm sure. Douglas, if you want to say a few words or not there, our board member. No, he's good. Oh, muted.
Thank you. Just to say, part of the reason I'm here, besides being on the board, is my roots are in Alberta, and I go back way back. And my roots at the time were in theater and arts education, and that's why I'm also on the board now, here trying to preserve arts education as best we can across the country. Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Douglas. Thank you. And we'll go to, is it Eva? Eva?
Hi there. I'm Eva Śniatyczka. I'm in Calgary as well. And my practice, I'm a teaching artist, and most of my work is in large-scale residencies in schools and community settings. So I was happily entrenched in a residency in a Spanish immersion school up until, like, I don't know, March 15th or whatever, and then everything shut down. So that's been my reality. I've been out of schools completely. I didn't know about the other 2 meetings that we all had, so it's really nice to connect up with you all right now. So what I decided to do was work towards an art therapy certification through the Vancouver Art Therapy Institute. So that's kind of what I've been doing over the course of COVID, just kind of expanding my practice a little bit, and still working with Arts Commons in Calgary. I'm one of their teaching artists as well. So, you know, we have been trying to talk about what's possible. I will be doing, I think, a Zoom session for Teachers Convention on fabric storytelling. I'm a visual artist mostly. So, you know, I'm trying to keep it together, but basically I've been at home and I'm not very technologically savvy. So that's been a bit of a trip for me. I have made films in the past, so I'm thinking maybe I should be doing something like a YouTube, Sesame Street. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But anyway, thank you. It's nice to see you all, and I'm looking forward to hearing about what you're all up to.
Thanks very much, Eva. We'll go to Jane.
Hi, everyone. I'm a bit of an interloper here out west today. I'm sitting here in Toronto. I'm the past president of a subject association for drama and dance in Ontario called CODE, the Council of Ontario Drama and Dance Educators. And we are very interested in making connections with other drama and dance organizations in the country, because it feels lonely when you're working with specific art forms in education in one province. And although our curricula is provincial, all different in every province, lots of similarities, I'm here to primarily listen and understand what's going on out west, and if possible, make connections with anyone else who works with arts education, and with our focus is particularly both drama and dance as an art form. So you can find us on the Ontario website, and I'll probably turn off after that, but I'm sitting here listening. I'll keep my whatever, and I hope to learn about what you guys are doing out there. It's pretty brutal here in Ontario and Toronto, especially. We're shut down again. We're in isolation again. Education is a nightmare. Teachers are teaching unbelievable systems, but I don't need to bore you with what they're doing here in Ontario. I'd like to listen to what you're doing out west. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Jane. And feel free to put any links to anything that you mentioned into the chat, and everybody should be able to access it there. And let's see, Andrea, go to Andrea.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was a few minutes late joining this meeting, but I'm very excited to listen in and take part in what's going on in the next hour. I'm a dance artist based in Toronto, but I'm from Edmonton, born and raised, and alongside performing, I run a dance education company called Dance Ed Movement Project, and we primarily focus on delivering dance artist and residency programs to schools both in Alberta and in Ontario. And we have kind of a small but mighty team set up in both provinces. And similar to some of you, I know when the pandemic struck, I was also completing a residency at a school, and everything completely shifted for us after that. We've transitioned all of our programming to be 100% virtual, and it's been a lot of work, but we're so grateful for all of the educators who we had plans with this year, as many of them have decided to go forward with some virtual programming. So it's been a learning curve, but it's really nice to see that, there still is value in delivering arts education virtually, and that it does benefit the students during a time when I feel like they need it more than ever. So yeah, I'm very keen to just hear what's happening in Alberta. I know that there's another session happening for Ontario Arts, and so I just like to be in the know of what's happening in both places that we offer our programs. So thanks for having me, and I look forward to hearing what everybody has to say today.
Great, thanks so much, Andrea. And apologies, it just says owner. I'm not sure who the name attached to that account is. I'll unmute you and can do an introduction if that works for you. Let's see. Well, it's not working. Oh, there we go. You're in. The person with the one that just says owner on there.
That would be me.
Okay, great.
So I have to introduce myself, I take it.
Well, if you feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm the present president of the Alberta Potters Association in Calgary. And this is really interesting. Over the last few months, we have set up share programs on Zoom to try and connect our membership. The other thing that we've done is a survey. We're talking about an online sale in the spring. And other than that, we're just doing the best we can.
Great. And your name? I didn't catch your name.
It's Erin.
Erin. Okay. Welcome, Erin. Thank you. Thank you. And next on our list, Phoenix.
Hello, everyone. I'm Phoenix. Some people know me as Sun. I've been in education for the past 15 years. I'm director of Voice of Purpose. I'm currently actually in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm based in Toronto mostly, but I've been down here for a couple of years, and I've kind of wanting to tune into all of the conversations that are happening because I'm currently engaged in a national, well, across Canada and US research project that's looking at the needs of artist educators when engaging in digital learning environments. And so I would welcome all of your input and participation. I can share more information as well. If you want more information, you can just send me your email address. But yeah, I'm just really, I think in this time of COVID, we've been forced into a space of kind of having to fast track an organic process that was already happening for the industry and for our sector. With the need to go digital has been there for some time, but because so many of our strengths lie in that analog space, we haven't been making that transition as eagerly as some other industries. But now we don't have a choice. And so I think we need better tools and better digital literacy of how to sustain our livelihoods and practices and organizations. So that's part of the why behind some of the things that I'm involved in. So if you want more information, please let me know.
Great. Thanks so much, Phoenix. Good to see you again. Po Ye.
Hello, everyone. I'm Po, and I'm in Calgary, and I'm with an organization called Prairie Debut, and normally we are touring classical and world music artists around Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, up to the Yukon, mainly to rural areas. And what I'm missing most, of course, is all the community activities and school programming that we'd normally be doing in these smaller communities. And I've been working to compile digital materials with our artists who are located in various centers across Canada. So it's been difficult. Some of them are not able to get together. Some are out in East Coast or Central Canada and creating digital materials. So just interested to listen in and see what's happening and maybe make some connections to chat about how we could sort of share ideas on how to deliver some of these programs.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Samantha.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for having us all here today. I think this is absolutely wonderful. My name is Samantha Whelan-Kokis. I'm the Artistic Director of Storyfair Productions. When this all came down, I was in the middle of a big Canada Council grant where we were putting technology on the land. Anyway, and people were freaking out with the technology that I was about to put into this big artistic production. And by the time we get to premiere it, you know, in 2025, no, I'm kidding, hopefully 2021, people will be much more comfortable with this technology because they're using it right now. They've been thrown into this. And like Sun was saying, we've been really reticent to go there, and now we're in it. So it's fascinating to me and exhausting all at the same time. I'm a professional trumpet player. I'm also a teaching artist for the National Arts Centre of Canada, and they have tasked me with doing the professional development for all the teaching artists that are in the music world across Canada. And so I'm really interested in what you all have to say today with how you're engaging with your community. I've been doing some of it as the artist in residence for a festival of the sound in Perry Sound. So they had asked me to be their artist in residence before COVID happened. And I got stuck in the middle of being a virtual artist in residence when they had never done anything like this. So I've been busy creating videos and sending them up north in Ontario. And now it's starting to come back, and we're creating some really interesting soundscapes for the kids based on an A prime pattern, looking at their experience before COVID, during isolation, and now back in school in Alberta, and now not back in school. But and every day I wake up and go, I've got to say yes, even though some days I just want to crawl back into bed and put the covers over my head. This is a really exhausting, amazing, weird time. I'm also the education advisor for Calgary Pro Musica. And this year we have a young artist development program that usually we put into the schools so that they can learn all of their skills about teaching artistry from that experience. And we knew this year they weren't going to be allowed to go into the schools. So we're working with a Calgary filmmaker, Emil Agopian, and they've just created 12 music body breaks, because we knew the way that they were going to be using music was to allow children to move in the classroom. So we created 5-minute videos where we teach them about music, the kids teach them about the instruments they play, but they ask the kids to move in a very safe way right beside their desk. So our students were tasked with, over the last 3 months, with creating these body breaks. And we just finished filming them, and I'm saying under the wire because Alberta just locked down, or Alberta just had the big announcement last night. So we finished filming last Saturday. Stressed me out as the education advisor because everybody had to be safe and these kids were in my care. So man, they didn't like me much. I was making them wear masks and hand sanitize and stay socially distant. We're going to make these videos. And we did, and I can't wait. Please tune in. They're going to be available for free to any school in Canada. So tune in to Calgary Pro Musica because we would like to see them widely used. I don't know if they'll be great. Haven't seen them yet, but from what the kids have created and what I've seen, they're cute. Some of them are out there, but they're showing, I'm always looking for ways that we can help our community as a teaching artist. And I think that project is really going to work. So I'm in the midst of this all too. It's terrifying, but it's so wonderful to be with this community today. You are my people, even though I'm not with you ever. so thank you for being here today. It can feel very isolating. And I look forward to hearing what everybody has to say. That's me.
Thank you so much, Samantha. That sounds excellent. And anyone who has these types of projects or resources that they're releasing, let us know. We have a page of resources, and we also post resources on our e-blast that we send every 2 weeks. So we're happy to help spread the word and happy to help get more people aware of what you're doing. We'll go to Yannick next.
Hi again. I was there yesterday for the BC meeting, the roundtable. It was very interesting. A lot of participants, a lot of good information that we heard. I'm based in Montreal. I'm the programs director at the Canadian Music Competition, and I'll attend all the roundtables because it's very interesting to see what you guys are doing locally in each provinces. The Canadian Music Competition is based in Montreal. I'm in Montreal right now. And but it's good to see well, we do have chapters across all Canada, so it's important for us to know locally what is going on. So I'll be mostly listening because I don't have much information as I'm not in Alberta, but I'm sure your input will be very interesting for us. So thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Yannick. And there have been a couple of people who have joined us and don't have their cameras on, and that's fine if you just want to listen in. But if you did want to introduce yourself and join the conversation, please do turn your camera on and we will hear from you. But if not, that's okay. I'll send it over to Larry and continue on the conversation. Thanks.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thanks everybody, and really good to meet you all, and again, some of you. I think it's wonderful. We have an Alberta a discussion here, which also happens to have people in Atlanta, Georgia, Toronto, and Montreal. So, is White Rock? Are you in White Rock, Douglas? Where are you? Okay, can't hear. Anyway, all over the place. So I get to ask the first set of kind of pointed questions to see if we can get a conversation going here. And you pretty much answered my first question. I have a question here about what are you doing? Well, you've just said that, so we'll move on. You and a number of you have mentioned that you're really interested in the online environment and working digitally. And that's sort of an area that we have a special interest in as well. That's sort of where our financing is coming from right now. So maybe the first place, and a nice easy opening would be to ask what platforms you're using. I've heard Zoom, but what are you using any special platforms that you particularly like to communicate with your students, clients, colleagues, or to present your program? So what we do, by the way, Caitlin is creating, has created and continues to create a resources section, digital resources section on our website, which has a lot of stuff there already. And in including reference to a number of platforms that you might be interested in. But let's find out what you folks are using or are looking for. So that's the first question. Just put your hand up. I think physically or virtually. And yep, I already see Andrea. So okay, and Jennifer will sort of do the rounds of who's answering. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we'll start with Andrea.
Perfect. So we've been using pretty much exclusively Google Meets because that seems to be the platform that schools are comfortable using. I know when COVID first hit, some were using Zoom, some were using Google Meet, but there were some security issues from what we heard. So Google Meet's been our platform. It's definitely not as sophisticated as Zoom is. Like you can't, pin 2 designated screens and set everything up within specific parameters before you start the meet. So we've kind of had to work around some challenges there. But yeah, once we had, the opportunity to roll out entire residency projects, it's become a lot easier and we've learned to work with it. And it does seem very user-friendly for students. So if anybody has any questions about Google Meet, I feel like I might be able to help you. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Andrea. And Samantha had her hand up as well.
I just want to say, yeah, I have lots of questions, Andrea, because we're noticing with the National Arts Center that we're going to have to use Google Meets. And we've been using Zoom exclusively for all of our meetings. So we're really comfortable with it, especially in a music situation where we can turn off all of the filters so that it doesn't distort the instruments that we're playing. And we're all terrified of going on to the Google Meets platform where we can't do that, and it's extremely limited as far as those filters. So I'd be really interested to know how you've got around that with music, because I'm sure with dance you've wanted to make sure it doesn't morph when you're sending it to the kids, and even the lag if you're doing a demonstration for them. So I'm very fascinated, but mostly we've been using Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have kind of troubleshooted various different tech setups, and it required 5 or 6 trips to Long and McQuaid, 4 within the same day when we were initially setting up. But yeah, I can definitely provide some information on the setup quickly. We're using a mixing board with headset microphones, and then we have an external source of music so that all our mics and our music is all being fed through the mixer directly into the computer. So there's no lag with the movement, our voice, and what the kids are seeing and the music. So it's a setup that seems to work pretty well. And it also is compatible with Google Meet. I know sometimes I think just the way that the software is in Google Meet, it kind of prioritizes what's the highest volume. So we always teach in teams of 2. So there are 2 instructors, and then we're both wearing headset mics. So sometimes if we're both talking at the same time, it kind of chooses one person to prioritize and push more forward, but it actually has worked pretty well. So I don't know if I can provide my email in the chat, and
That's
then if
good.
anybody has questions, is that an okay way of going about it? Great.
That's great. Thank you, Andrea. Actually, we are we are we're developing some more webinars. We had a very kind of a basic webinar with his first name's Andrew. I'm forgetting his last name, but
Mercer.
Andrew Mercer from Newfoundland, and he's very he gave us a lot of information on setting up Zoom, and it also kind of works cross platforms, but we're looking at delving deeper into certain platforms and getting people more training on things like Google Meet. So maybe Andrea will approach you later for some, yeah, that'd be great to tell us about how it is that you're using that. That's fantastic. Thank you. Anyone else have any kind of stories of best practices of platforms that you've been using, or projects that have gone really well over any of these digital platforms? Any other art forms, such as what are the visual artists using, or yeah. We're also working on a webinar with some visual artists as well. We have a visual artist who reached out to us, who's simultaneously creating with his students. Yes, Yannick.
So we're still figuring out for this year, because our events will be in May, but for last year we had to adjust very quickly because it was just maybe 2 weeks before we started our national audition across Canada that everything falls into pieces. So we used SlideRoom, which is a platform based in US, and it's mostly to do asynchronous work. So we are not meeting them directly, but if you need a platform to gather registration, candidates may fill out a registration form and they can submit the repertoire, the music sheet, and the recordings, either just audio or video. So this is what we used. So it was very easy to have a single file for every candidate, and to be able to have the adjudicator listen to the music and write comments and assign notes. So everything was in the same platform. It was super easy to use. So it's just another perspective, because we're not really in the mood to use Google Meet or Zoom or anything, because we're not doing one-on-one. We prefer to have it via recording. This year's we're mainly planning for one-on-one meetings. So we opted for Accepted, which is another platform based in the US. And Accepted offered a similar aspect to SlideRoom, except for they have a much bigger capacity for file size. So for example, SlideRoom, they allow 500 megabytes for a video, which is very, very, very short, and Accepted offers 3 gigabytes. So that allows for better sound quality and video quality. So this is what we're looking for. Also, they have they call it audition room, and they can schedule meetings one-on-one between adjudicators and participants. So this is a very great tool, because we don't have to use emails or Excel spreadsheet to try to figure out the logic between how to manage that. So everything is in one place. So those two, SlideRoom and Accepted, they are very, very strong platform if you have a lot of people to manage.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Yannick.
you. And
Yes.
by the way, Caitlin is making note of the various platforms you suggest, and we'll post them if we don't already have them. So we will be sharing those. So thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah. And Poe, you had a comment?
Could I ask a question of Yannick, please? Because I've used Accepted, and there's always the concern about the fees in US dollars. What is it like with SlideRoom?
So yes, this is also a big concern for us, because we are a non-for-profit organization. So that means that all our expenses need to be justified because we have public funding. So Accepted is $15 US per candidate. There's no flat fee. So you pay for the number of registration you have. If you want to use the audition room for the one-on-one meeting, It's $30 US per participant. And also the technology behind Audition Room is Zoom. So they are basically using Zoom and they are integrated within Audition Room and accepted. Slide Room, they have a base fee of $800 per year, and then you pay $5 US per participant. And that's the basic fee. You can go up to $12 US per candidate, depending on how many files you are requesting from the participants. So in overall, since we have around 500 participants per year in the competition, it was cheaper to have accepted than Slide Room. So the threshold was around, well, I can't remember by heart, but I think it was around 200 because of the flat fee of $800 per year. So at some point it was cheaper to get accepted. At some point it was cheaper to get Slide Room. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was around 200 participants.
Great, thank you. Phoenix, did you have a question or a comment? Yeah.
Yeah, one platform that has blown my mind and blows people's minds every time they see it is Miro, M-I-R-O. And I was just looking at the website, and it's actually, you can do a free trial without paying anything. And it's basically a whiteboard. You guys know how Google Docs you can live Google edit and you can see everybody doing everything. It's like that for like a whiteboard. So you can create drawings, you can create, it's like the one they have in Google Classroom, but a lot more sophisticated. So you can create flowcharts and embed different things. It's really cool. So I would recommend you check it out. I think with the free account, you can get 3 boards. With the paid account, which starts at $8 a month, you can have unlimited boards, but it's like the future. Like the first time I used this technology, I was like, oh my gosh. And the host can control where the audience sees which part of the board. So you can zoom in and control where people are looking, and people can contribute like live sticky notes, and not just sticky notes, but actually draw together and draw shapes together and lines and stuff like that. So especially for the visual artists, I would recommend checking out that tool. There's a bit of an orientation. It's not necessarily completely intuitive. So if you're not like fully technologically advanced, the Google version of it, I forget what it's called, but Google has a version that's kind of like this, like Google Paint with everyone on it, right? But this is a really, really nice and sophisticated tool for something like that.
Wonderful, thank you. We're getting lots of great new tips today. This is great. And again, like I said, we'll be sharing them. Like Larry mentioned, we will be sharing them. So that's really great. Larry, did you want to finish up?
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead to my favorite question. I'd like to invite you to bring out your crystal balls, please, from the underneath your desk, please, because it's something we're all trying to do, right? We're all trying to say, what's going to happen? What are we preparing for? I don't know what we're preparing for. Are we? And it's really not clear from a health standpoint, from a security standpoint. But I'm going to ask you anyway, because you know better than I do, because you're on the ground doing it. How do you see things progressing in post-pandemic? Are you going to continue to incorporate the virtual instruction and engagement in your practice? Are things changing permanently for you? Are there going to be permanent changes? What do you see yourself doing in, I don't know, another 8 months, when we supposedly have all got inoculated? Go ahead, somebody.
Yeah. Okay, Samantha. Start with Samantha.
I'll bite, and I'll let Andrea take it from me. I think I will be teaching online a lot more than I have. I had stopped teaching privately because I was too busy. And now I'm teaching trumpet lessons virtually, and I've got it down now. I mean, I just use Zoom, and I'm teaching all the way from Manning, Alberta, across to Eastern Canada. And we've got a trumpet forum that's happening, led by the principal trumpet in the National Arts Centre Orchestra. And she's bringing in the best trumpet players in the world. And we meet on Zoom and we practice together. We are such nerds. and we're loving it. And it wouldn't have been something I would have ever done before COVID. So that definitely will continue. I just want to go back to live performing. So I think there's going to be a rebirth, a renaissance, and people wanting to get in halls and hear live music. And I think it was starting, people were taking it for granted that we had Mahler 2 last year with the Calgary Philharmonic. And I think when we get to do that again, people are going to, so that won't change. And, but I think I will be putting, I was already starting to want to put a little bit of technology into my artistic practice. Murray Schafer is one of my heroes, Canadian heroes, and this project I'm doing is on the land, but I was using some technology too, and he would have hated that. But I think there's a way to organically use it, and it's been accelerated because of this time period. So my crystal ball says, even those that weren't really that into it are now seeing the possibilities with it. So we'll see a bit more of it, but I also am grassroots, man. I mean, I can't wait to get back in that concert hall and perform. So a bit of both. That's my mirror ball, and I just don't want people to get sick. Anyway, stay well, please.
Yeah, thank you, Samantha.
By the way, the mirror ball is Dancing with the Stars. I was asking about the crystal ball.
Okay, Andrea is next. Yeah.
Just kind of riffing off of what Samantha was saying, I think there definitely will be a little bit of both. Speaking from my own personal experience, shifting everything from in-person to virtual, I understand how you're feeling, Samantha. I'm sure all of us feel the same way, that it's nearly impossible to replicate that like in-person experience where we're sharing the energy in the same space, and you can like feel the energy and feel, the magic of the arts. It has that palpable sensation. But you're right, like the online virtual delivery is so cool because it allows us the potential to reach so much further beyond what we had probably ever imagined pre-pandemic. So yeah, the opportunity to, work with international artists and have access to students all over the world is something that's pretty cool. I will say that from what we've experienced so far since September, it seems like, teachers are exhausted and, they're being pushed to the limit. So I think that as soon as in-person instruction is allowed again, I think that will always be favorable in schools. Although that's not to say that, like you said, Samantha, bringing in international trumpet instructors and musicians, that will always be a cool option to have. And I'm sure some schools will take advantage of it. But I think people will try and shift back to in-person delivery within a school format as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of both.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Andrea. Anyone else want to comment on their? Yes, Jane.
I will respond to the comments about education because I think they're fairly universal, or maybe not. I think that there's much that we gained, and certainly with even courses that teachers take for qualifications, that many of our board members teach those courses. They've learned that there's an incredible reach so that we have people even from all over, as we can have here today. And so that's wonderful that they can connect and that they can get together. But where there's grief and sadness is with our student bodies who are lacking community. They're not learning socialization. They're not learning emotions and emotion management together like they do in our primary curriculum is focused on play-based and also identifying your feelings and dealing with your feelings. And it's separate. It's so separate. The adolescents, the grades 7 and 8s are desperately not gaining many of those important community, human, social skills. We're looking at increased diversity if we are online like we are right now, where we can be talking to someone from Kazakhstan and someone else from Istanbul in Turkey, and providing we can translate effectively or have many languages. but we don't get to do the kinds of interactions beyond seeing us on our desks and coming in and out of videos. Teachers are reporting situations with teenagers where they come in, put the mic off, the video off, and you have all kinds of pragmatic issues like, is that kid present then or not present? And teachers who are phoning parents to say, your kid has been in class for 4 days without me being visible. And the parents said, well, let me go check, and went to the bedroom, and the kid wasn't in the bedroom and was doing something somewhere else. And so you don't even have that capacity to ensure that people are truly present in reality. You can't, the students themselves, the older they get, the university students in Ontario started reporting that they're suffering, their learning is suffering, that they thought online would be a piece of cake, that they were used to doing many things online already, but without the opportunity to check in with their professors, without the opportunity to bounce off one another in person, to regulate your level of dialogue to people that challenge you or people that support you, you lose nuance in communication. So it's that strengths and weaknesses that will keep that incredible power for me to suddenly be in a room with you and hear that similarities and differences to what we're experiencing, but we don't really know each other in the end, and we lose that chance for community, for socialization, for empathy, all of that.
Right. Thanks very much, Jane. Yes. First, we'll go to Erin and then Eva. Let me unmute you here, Erin. That works.
There we go. Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
Sorry. As you guys know, pottery is a very tactile medium. Yes. And it's really hard to have that to be tactile online. So somebody can show you a mug, but you aren't able to hold the mug and see if the handle suits you and that kind of stuff. So in-person sales are very important. We can't do them right now. We will be setting up an online sale. That being said, I found that the Zoom share, where we have people signing on and talking with each other, is good because they are setting up a relationship so that at some point when we can all get together again, then they can further that relationship. I think the crystal ball in our case will be both. I think that we will continue with the online shares. We probably will go back to having in-person coffee and ceramics type of stuff, and we'll go back to having in-person sales. But I still think that we'll be doing demos, we'll be doing the online shares in the future. So yeah, that's my crystal ball.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, thank you. Eva.
So as soon as I can get into a classroom, I'm in. I will wear a bubble, I will whatever. I can't stand it, you all. Like, I cannot stand it. I don't learn online. I'm actually, I'm supposed to be paying gazillions of dollars over 2 years to try to do some learning, and the asynchronistic way of learning does not work for me. I learn by listening, by speaking, by watching bodies. I'm an embodied, I'm a creature. So I've struggled like crazy to keep up. Now, I know that I have to incorporate part of it in my practice, and I'm working with people who have more of an idea of how to do that, like as we connect, just like as we're doing right now. But I will be back in that classroom or with humans. I miss the jostling. Do you remember, like, we used to actually like bump, people bumped into each other sometimes? Anyway, so I'll be back in the classroom. There will be times though that I think that an online platform can really support some of the work that's happening on a long-term basis. So checking in if I'm not physically present, checking in to see how the inquiry's going, see what people need. But I do have a question for you all. I wonder about if kids can, what, like FOIP, do you know FOIP? Like if we can actually talk to kids online and how that goes, and what about privacy and all those issues. Okay, cool. All those issues are really close to my heart because it's the interaction of sort of voices and bodies that I'm really interested in. So thank you.
So Central Memorial High School here in Calgary, and same with Bishop Carroll, they've got us going in teaching the students one-on-one through Zoom. And I've wondered about that same question. I don't know how they're, because we're not being monitored by a teacher. And so we are all of the clinicians here are insured. So I guess there's that, and we're not physically in the same place. So they are doing it. And I will tell you, getting to speak to my students that radically got cut off for me in March, because I feel you, like when you were in the middle of a residency. And I just had one ask for a reference this morning, and he had to go through all these loops to get my contact information. I'm like, of course I'll give you a reference. We were so ripped from them that these kids had these artists that were in their lives, we were gone the next day. And so, yeah, they are starting to do some of that. So they must be getting around those FOIP issues. And I agree with you, like that connection and that need for art in their lives. To Jane's point about the emotional connection, that's what we offer as teaching artists. That's our whole gig, and so any way we can offer it now, that's why I'm willing to say yes right now. But it is feeling very like I just want to hit their elbow and I give them a pat on the shoulder and oh, I love that color you're using, or those little things we do all the time that have been taken away. So I do think there's ways around it, because some of the high schools, I'm going into a junior high school with Google Meets this Friday to teach a trumpet clinic in Edmonton, and I'm interested to see how that dynamic is going to look. So I'm learning at the same time. It's not quite the same, but I do think they're getting around it. So hopefully there's going to be something. We'll get this perfect just in time for the world to open up again. Yeah,
I want to give another boost up just invite you to have a look at the Andrew Mercer's webinar that he did, because this man knows how to engage people online. I don't know if any of you saw it, but he's got many years, like 20 years of working with kids online, and he's sitting there. He's got a couple of screens, and he's got his system, but he's got like techniques such as every 5 minutes or something, he stops and asks a question. Like he's figured it out. He's figured out how to engage people. So this isn't really about curriculum and about what you're teaching, but it's really about how can you get kids to be paying attention and engaged online. So I really recommend having a look at that. It's just on our website, and it's about an hour long or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he talks about that whole issue of when you can't even see the kids, do you even know that they're there, which is how he gets them to text. And he said that if he doesn't hear from them, he calls the parents immediately. So it's a interesting new way of classroom management for sure.
But it's wonderful just to watch him. I mean, just to see him do some of this stuff is terrific at it. And it makes me jealous, of course, but everyone can learn it. It's just a matter, but he has wonderful techniques. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yes, Phoenix.
Yeah, that definitely sparked something for me. So A part of my interest in understanding the digital landscape is making sure that we as working artists have avenues to sustainable living wages, right? And there are several industries that have figured out what it means to teach online, coach online. Many lucrative independent businesses or like independent brands that come out and are teaching in the online forum, mostly to adults, right? But doesn't mean that there can't be transference to youth. And they figured out different strategies around online marketing, but also in how to engage in webinars, how to formulate your webinars, how to formulate, how you keep someone's interest, how to tweak their interest. So there's an interesting rub that happens with community artists and when things start feeling a little bit capitalistic. And so there's a bit of filtering that we need, internal self-monitoring that we need to do so that we are able to understand marketing as tools and not like, things that were created to manipulate people, although it is used in that way. It can be used in that way, but ultimately it's the same way that you can use money, right? You can use money for good, you can use money for bad. It's just a tool. And so I think with some of the pieces that I'm really interested in as well is looking at how other industries have done it. What are some of the formulas that other teachers are using to teach marketing, to teach finances, to teach business skills, right? What are some of the tools they're using and building 6, 7, 8-figure businesses online as an independent teacher, right? What does that mean? And how can we take some of those skills and learnings and apply them to the work that we're doing in arts education, which is helping a lot of people. So, yeah.
Thanks very much, Phoenix. That's interesting. That's the main gist of our Canada Council Digital Strategy Grant is helping people become more discoverable online and helping people, more of the public, engage with artist educators and whatnot. So this actually segues really nicely into our second section of this conversation, and also gives me some ideas for potential webinars for artist educators for marketing themselves and for offering those types of tools. So what I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin very shortly, but we have been working on the Canadian, the map of arts and learning, and maybe you had a chance to, we sent you some links in the follow-up email, maybe you had a chance to explore it a little bit on your own, as well as our online directory. So if you did not, don't worry, Caitlin's going to do a brief overview of some local areas on the map and just give you some more context here. Hand it over to you, Caitlin.
Thank you. I'm going to apologize in advance. My upstairs neighbors are actually vacuuming right now, so if there's a lot of ambient sound, I'm sorry. I'm going to share my screen with you. And so this is the page on our website where you can access Canada's map for arts and learning. It's right here under the tab, under the map. Should be pretty self-explanatory on how to get there. And so the map has been about 4 years in the making now, and it's grown considerably. It's a culmination of both publicly available information that we've researched and collected, as well as what folks have provided on their own. Folks who wanted to appear on the map, be they individual artist educator or an organization, an arts organization or a school. So anyone who fits into one of those 3 categories can apply to appear on the map, and I encourage you to do so if you haven't already, which you can do by going right here to get on the map. And there will be like a very short approval process, like a day or 2 turnaround, and I'll get you on there if you fit our criteria, basically. And yeah, you'll appear on the map. And it's basically an easily searchable database of artist educators in your community and across Canada. So you can search specifically, let's say, for dance programming, either if you want to take like a dance class for yourself or for your kids, you can select to view those who are offering programming specifically for communities. Alternatively, if you want to bring some kind of dance programming into your school, or if you want to see who is offering like performances that you can take your class to, you can also see or let's say, dance organizations who offer programming specific to schools. You can search by like the age demographic of the folks that you want to provide programming for, grade levels, languages. It's there. You can. So yeah, that's the map in a nutshell, basically. And then if you do apply and if you do want to search, let's say, click on someone's profile, you can then see all of the information that was either, again, publicly available online or if they self-reported it themselves. So this is an example of a profile for an organization in the Northwest Territories in Yellowknife, Akpik Theatre. So they have included on their profile the programs that they offer for schools, so performances and workshops, as well as the types of programs they offer in the community. So workshops and group classes and outreach, that sort of thing. Very similar profile for individual. Oh, I see what's happening. Just a second here. There we go. Very similar idea for the profile for an individual artist educator. You can provide a little bio about yourself, provide a picture, beat up yourself for your art. You can let us know what exactly you offer, be it programming for schools or private lessons or group lessons. And again, if you do offer programming for schools, you can specify what exactly that is. Recently, in light of the pandemic and everyone going online, all of the profiles also feature this little online art instruction indicating whether or not you do actually offer online art instruction. So folks can easily see that quickly. Another thing that we really want to highlight, because we're a network, we want to show the connections that people have with organizations in their communities. So in this case, we have an artist educator who is a member of CARFAC and also a member of the Edmonton Arts Council. So if we go to CARFAC's profile, we'll then see, yeah, it's just making those connections. So let me, and sorry, my screen sharing thing is like, of course, right over my tabs that I'm trying to navigate between. There you go. And so finally, the last type of profile that we can have on the map is for a school. So be it public or private schools. And these kind of give us a really interesting snapshot of the type of arts programming that's happening in schools. The resources that they're putting into full-time or part-time arts teachers, how much time they're dedicating to arts instruction, what kind of programs they actually do in their schools, like whether they have artist residencies, do they do art-specific field trips, performances, etc. They have dedicated classrooms to the arts, great, they can show it here. And also some like extracurriculars that they might want to bring to the folks' attention. And finally, I'll do a brief little blurb about our directory of online learning. So basically anyone who's on the map who has indicated to us that they offer some kind of online instruction or programming or performance, they now are included in this new directory of online instruction, which is also available. Map not necessary here because location doesn't really matter in this case. So I encourage you all to check it out. And if you, again, if just same profile form that you would use to apply to appear on the map, we'll get you in here if you indicate that you do online programming. The same search options, again, if you want to find out music programming online, indicate your price point, age groups, etc. And it's honestly like become very robust in the last few months that this directory has been live. It went from like 2 pages when we first started to like how many now? A lot. So yeah. 30 pages, there we go.
Great, thanks very much, Caitlin. Yes, Jane.
I have a question and an observation. My question, Caitlin, is CODE, for example, is a provincial organization and we don't have a head office. We all work in different schools across the entire province. No one city is on a hierarchy over another city because I just finished my role as president and I'm in Toronto. The new president lives in Prince Edward County. It can just rotate all the time. So we didn't know how to put ourselves on the map. I think if there was a way for jurisdictional organizations to be able to indicate that somehow, it would help us connect with teachers more, perhaps, from other provinces, because the artists who are individually artists can give their own address and can indicate and be pinpointed. And that's my comment. The teachers who are teaching in schools and want to connect with artists or anybody can't do that so easily unless you suddenly have to put yourself as a teacher. You can do a school, I suppose, but I don't know. It's just a challenge I offer you to figure out. I can think of all kinds of organizations that are in that same boat from different provinces and different areas that don't have one home spot, but we're not entirely online either. The other observation that I have, and maybe it doesn't fit with this part, but I'll mention it and then stop and it can come up where it's appropriate, is that Phoenix, in terms of talking about artists and learning to monetize in a healthy way, not a harmful way, practice, and the relationship between artists and educators, we want arts teachers in schools who understand the education of the whole student with pedagogy and their learning disabilities and years and years and years of training to work that way, as well as if they're arts educators. And I have like years of that, but I'm not an artist. I wouldn't call myself an artist. I call myself very proudly a teacher, an educator. I work closely with many artists because I appreciate what the artists can bring to an arts education classroom, but I don't want them to take over the teaching, complete teaching. I want to work collaboratively so my students are exposed to what an artist can do that a teacher who understands the pedagogy and understands the art form and how it's used in education, which is quite different often. So we're looking, our organization, at trying to define that relationship and to make it collaborative. But I also have encountered politicians who just say, we don't need teachers anymore of the arts. We can cancel arts education in our schools and we can just privatize it all and bring in the artists when we need to. So what do we need to have a music teacher who's working with in play-based interaction in kindergarten, or a drama teacher in grade 7 who's working with a drama and role and classes of social justice issues and linking it to the math curriculum and the science curriculum and doing something very rich educationally and bringing an artist in to link with that in a special, wonderful way. So I appeal to all of us as we look at online. I think there's a political action that will happen in many places where people will look at bottom line, and particularly now where so many artists have faced a deadly bottom line unless they could digitize and monetize. And teachers have had a lot of hard work, but they kept their salaries. So there's a big disparate there. We're looking at multiple facets, multiple needs. And so every artist isn't an artist educator, and artists who are pure artists and are not educators in and of itself, although richly could educate always, that shouldn't be undervalued. And it's a different relationship. And I really worry when every artist feels the need to suddenly become an artist educator, find 6 curriculum expectations and say that they meet them, when I want their rich artistry. My job is the curriculum expectations, the whole child, the interdisciplinary, and the rest of it. So that's just my political piece for the moment.
Can I respond to that?
Oh my gosh, Jane. Okay, we definitely have to connect because you're speaking like to my soul right now. I think there's so much because I spent a lot of time collaborating with teachers in schools. I also used to work with the Royal Conservatory when they had the Learning Through the Arts program, and they were intentionally connecting artists with teachers and integrating understanding of school curriculum as a prerequisite to how we engaged in that space. And I've also seen the power of it when we as artists can really step into that space with a teacher who is a true ally, right? Like I've been able to work with teachers in like private schools, for example, and go in and revamp their entire English poetry curriculum. And now they're doing spoken word, and now we have rubrics and we have ways of grading what traditionally outside of the classroom you would not give a grade, but you're able to integrate this art creation with an English curriculum. And there's so much juice there for partnership, and I don't think we need to lose that in the digital space. I think it's a great temptation, and it's easy to lose that because everything is so kind of disparate right now. But I think if we intentionally create that space, that magic that happens in that space doesn't have to be compromised with the digital technology. It's just really about how we intentionally create spaces for partnership and spaces for conversation and drawing on the strengths, right? Because you're absolutely right. Not every artist is an educator, and not every educator is an artist, and not every artist should be an educator, right? That's the other piece too. I think it's a nature of our work that when you become really masterful in a certain craft, people just want you to teach because they want to learn from you. But doesn't mean that, just because you have artistic caliber is that you're meant to be in the classroom in certain ways. And so providing support also for artists who want to be teachers but don't have those tools naturally in their toolbox. So yeah, we're definitely going to need to talk.
Thank you. Anyone else have any response to that, or any thoughts on the map or other marketing that you do, or ways to reach out to the public or engage the public? Or yes, Samantha.
I'll just speak for myself right now. I've been doing a blog. I'm really irregular. There is nothing normal about it. I had a marketer who tried to keep me on task. That doesn't work. I'm an artist. You can't keep me on task. I'm going to end up writing. I'm going to look like I gave up one day. And my friend who was trying to help me market, it's like, you can't put that out there. Yeah, I can. It's my blog. And it might look all over the place. I don't care. So I've been blogging, and I've been trying to do it intentionally during this time because my emotions tomorrow will be very different than my emotions today. And so if I wait, I don't capture what this moment is like. And I've been so busy with work in the last 3 weeks. I've got this great blog idea, but it allows me to connect with whoever wants to hear how it's going for me. And I will say, us artists have been decimated, and our funding stream has. Jane, you put it perfectly. We're hooped. We have nothing. We don't have a salary. So, and all those multiple veins that I used to use, and I was very diverse on purpose because one would dry up, I'd go this way, I'd go this way. They're all gone. So it's taken 8 months to find any kind of funding because we're the luxury. I get it. Like adding us in at the end, that's the luxury. And yet we're also the necessity. It's a strange place to live, isn't it? I get all of the ways that we're thinking about this, and monetizing it's going to be really important so that we keep this beautiful partnership that happens between artists and the world alive. And I also, part of the thinking in my next blog post is how water eventually finds a way to run downhill. So we're going to find our ways to run downhill. We've just, March 19th or whenever it was, we hit a huge rock, probably actually a glacier. And now we're trying to navigate our way around it so that our water can run downhill again. And that sort of thing. So I'm blogging. That's how and I know I'm not really great at this. And Sun, what you were saying about getting out there, Sun might not be here anymore. I think she had to go. Getting out there and figuring out ways, it's exhausting, but yeah, it's kind of where we're all at right now.
Right. Yes. Thanks. Anyone else doing anything to reach out to new students or new audiences? Anybody really exploring social media in a different way right now? Sort of, yeah. Great, well, thank you.
I found you guys. So this is a
Okay.
really interesting, I didn't know anything about this. This map is brand new to me. So I found you guys somehow. I don't even know how I got on your list, but I decided I would sign into today. And any of these like crazy little webinar things, I've been doing them with the Lincoln Center. Anybody who's been offering them, I've been kind of jumping in. I'm meeting the most fascinating people because of stuff like this. So I am willing to try. So this is so yay Canada Council for giving you guys a digital arts grant because it's working. Yeah, if you need a reference, I'll say that I thought it was fantastic. So
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Samantha. Yeah, it's a funny world we're living in, and we're all coping best we can. I'm going to ask Jennifer, if it's okay, I'll just go over and ask them. We want to end in a few minutes. We want to be conserving of your time, but I do. And I'm talking to Alberta now, but of course, there are people all over the place. It's really about what space are you in now? How are you doing? And it's going to be different. I know the answer is going to be different in every province and territory. But we hear about Alberta, and I don't even know what came out last night. Like, I watched the news last night, but they weren't reporting it yet. And I presume it's some kind of a semi-lockdown. But how are you feeling? When we went through this exercise in the spring, 100% of 99.9% of the people were very anxious. And no, I'm not sure where we are now. Just fill me in on how you're feeling and your students and your clients are doing, kind of like psychologically, mentally coping with everything.
I'll speak to it really quick and I'll let someone else speak. The students all got told they weren't going to be in school for the next 6 weeks last night. So grades 7 to 12 is now going to be back home. And I have 2 teenagers at home that are devastated by this news. So how I'm feeling today is I just want to go cry. Like, I just want to cry. I just feel like we've probably got 3 or 4 months of this really hard stuff ahead of us. And I'm trying to keep my head like, oh, but I can do this and this and this and this. And so, right. Like, so you guys are seeing this out, but I'll be very transparent and just say, it's hard. This is so hard. And, navigating the family, but then all my students that I'm teaching online that I'm going to teach tonight that just got this news that they don't get to be in school with their peers. And that's way more important than their family right now. But I get it. Like, I get it that we have to do this, and Alberta is failing miserably with COVID right now. So, yeah, it's just a roller coaster. That would be my answer. And so let's hope the restrictions work because we're not doing great. And I feel for the teachers. And so, it's funny, like, I don't have the security of being a teacher, and yet my heart just goes out to them, and anything I can do to help, I'm going to do, because to make their lives easier. I'm not going to ask them to do any homework. Just bring me in and we'll do some fun stuff together with your kids, and hopefully it'll uplift you a bit and uplift your kids a bit. That's why, Andrea, it's so great that you guys have hit the ground running. We're way behind with the National Arts Center, but we'll get there. And we'll get there with help from our colleagues, right? So, yeah, that's how I'm doing. Okay, I'll let someone.
Thank you, Samantha. Yeah, anyone else want to share? Yes, Andrea.
So just say, I know I'm currently in Toronto, but I feel like I've been keeping up with what's happening in Alberta just because we do engage with so many schools there, and we have a couple of instructors that work for us in Edmonton, and we primarily teach in elementary schools. We do go kindergarten to grade 9, but most of the contracts, the residencies that we engage in are with elementary students, and it's a very precarious situation right now. Like, we spent the first month in September building a virtual program and kind of troubleshooting it and running some test sessions with schools that we've worked with for many years just to see what's possible and what teachers need, what principals feel is doable. And we kind of had everything set up, and then now that numbers are climbing, and junior high and high school is off the table for in-person instruction, it just feels like anything can be snatched away, and any contract that you might have in place, even if there's a signature, it might fall apart. And so it's all about, for us, like, it feels like one curveball after another, and we overcome something just to then encounter another hurdle. And we definitely have had some successes for sure, but I'm with all of you. It feels like it's kind of this never-ending battle, and so we just have to capitalize on any small success. And I think that anything that artists can provide to teachers, like you were saying, Samantha, is very much appreciated, more than ever. So we also are here to support educators in any way that we can, even though we're not teachers 9 to 5 in schools, or 8:30 to 3:30, I guess. But it's a touch and go situation. So even if it seems like people are super successful in hitting the ground, it's a challenge every day. I'm with you.
It's a challenge every day.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Eva.
So I live alone, and for the first time in my life, I've realized that living alone is really weird. Like, it's, because I'm really starting to feel the pressure of, the restrictions. Not that I live in a tiny place. I think you saw my giant dog. That's us. We hang out. And I live right downtown in Calgary. So, but in a standalone house. So, but tiny, 25 by 50 is the postage stamp of territory on which I reside, right? I have a fire pit in the backyard. That's where I do any of my meetings with people. And I have really turned my life to be outside more than inside. So I feel anxious, and I sometimes wonder if ever we will actually be able to be physically together again, but the other day, like yesterday, I had a call from a colleague there's a school in Milo that wants to do a residency. So I'm like, what, really? So it was this amazing moment of hope, right? So this is what I talk about, like the little bubble person. They want someone to come in the last week of December now, or not December, like last week, mid-December, for a couple of days to do some arts-based explorations, just to have some fun, right? And I don't know if it'll happen, but just the idea that someone said, hey, we'd like to, I was like, yay, So yeah, thank you for asking how I'm feeling. I appreciate
that.
Yeah. No. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm living in a yellow zone. Yellow is awfully easy. And I drive down the highway to Toronto, and it's not so easy.
I'm living in Toronto, so full lockdown zone. So
full lockdown, but your kids are in school.
Yes, they are in school. Yeah, schools are not shut.
So maybe just the last thing to say, and you don't have to come up with something on the spur of the moment, but we want to know what you need, what do you need now that we might be able to help with? In terms, we're pretty good at communications. We're pretty good at, we're getting better at advocacy, getting better. And we've made this big commitment to online. So if there's something that you think our organization could do, that, especially with the digital technology, what would you say you would like, or you would need, or could like, or would be helpful?
Yes, yeah. Eva.
So just like the webinars and some best practices, those kinds of things, just breaking down what works online, not what doesn't work online, but what works online. You know, I'm actually doing a lot of online learning right now, like in all free and paid and all that kind of stuff. And I'm really noticing how some things are really, I'm engaged, and other times I just don't care. And, you know, those little breaks and, you know, different ways of asking questions or different points of view. I think Phoenix was talking about somewhere where you could actually take the viewers, you know, attention in different places. It just seems like things that are engaging visually would be more engaging as a relational tool rather than just talking heads and, you know, Brady Bunch boxes. So yeah, that's
great. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else see anything that could be?
I should add that we are planning some webinars. Jennifer has them in the works, and they will be aiming at some of these different issues. But and any requests or thoughts or suggestions you have will be very welcome, because we want to keep doing. I mean, this is something we can do. We can over the next. So we have some funding for the next year, you know, for about a year and a bit. So we will be able to continue doing certainly online stuff like this. We're supposed to have a conference coming up in 21. We'll see what that is like. But anyway, thank you. I want to say thank you all very much for participating. This has been great, a wonderful discussion, very animated, very deep, and it's just really helpful. And we hope to be helpful in return. So
Erin does have one more comment or question.
One more comment?
Yeah. Let's see here. Try to unmute you here again. Sorry. Here we go.
Okay, I just wanted to respond to Phoenix and Jane, especially when she was talking about having the artist in as along with the teacher. So I think the idea is coming to my mind that whoever artists you have at this point in time come on to this website or webinars, is to show artists how they can get along with a teacher in a classroom, either online or in person. I think that would really help. Then we would know if we're going to go in and help exactly where we need to go.
Thank you.
I can just respond and say it's on our to-do list to work collaboratively with a number of artists. We have the funding now to look at what that should look like for the teacher and the artist, and that we would support artists who are willing to work this way, as opposed to, I'll come in and do your work, you can go to the staff room.
Yeah. And for people like Jane, by the way, you and I can have a conversation at some point, because we obviously want to collaborate with you on this. And also Phoenix is gone, but she'll be back because she's coming to the mall. And you know, we want to do whatever we can to form partnerships and promote one another. This is not a time for competition. This is not a time for my project's more important than your project. This is a time for us to support each other and find ways. And partnerships can be very light, just in terms of we'll put you on our website, or it could be more integrated in terms of some larger piece that we both want to do, or that we all want to do. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone.
And Douglas, I'm going to maybe try to talk to you in the next few minutes. Why don't you stay on? Why don't you stay on, Douglas? Okay.
Yes,
thanks,
bye.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you.
We have to wait till everybody gets themselves out, because that's okay. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want me to go too? I can.
Yeah, no, you can stay.